Hey everyone, I'm just gonna go over some video settings in Fortnite that I like to use um, that give the best clarity, but also the highest FPS. Um, I personally can't handle performance mode because there's no anti-aliasing, and the anti-aliasing is just really needed for me. I have bad poor eyesight, so um, I'm just going to go over some of the video settings that I use to get the best quality. The first thing I recommend doing is going to uh, download DLSS Swapper. So what this will do is it'll allow you to replace the DLSS file with the latest, absolute latest version. So you can do that for Fortnite and override and put in place the latest DLL file. The second thing I highly recommend is um, using DLSS. Because I'm getting 380, almost 400 FPS. I do have a very good video card, so your mileage may vary, but I recommend using preset K. The newer presets L and M, they just look really worse. They just look terrible, in my opinion. So to do that, you want to go to NVIDIA Control Panel and go to Graphics, your game, and then if you scroll down, you want to go to DLSS Override Model Preset, and then just set Super Resolution to K. The other thing that I do in here is I set my dynamic vibrance. I bump it up a little bit um, to just give it a little bit more. I turn it on, bump it up a little bit to just give it more saturation. Okay, so for video settings, I like to move my mouse off screen, so I don't like full screen. Honestly, I don't think it makes any difference whatsoever going from window to full screen with the current Windows 11 optimizations. I run native resolution. VSync I have on right now. If you turn it off, you will get a little bit higher FPS, but I run. I have a NVIDIA video card, obviously, uh, and then I run um, G-Sync. So G-Sync with a boost. Actually, let me get a storm here. Get out of storm. So G-Sync plus. So G-Sync plus boost. So G-Sync plus reflex. If you turn on or off VSync, it does not impact your input latency. That I've noticed. However, if you're going over your monitor's refresh rate, so I have a 360. When it goes over 360, I do get a little bit of stuttering and tearing. So that's why I like to run VSync on. You can also limit. So just for this demonstration, I'm putting mine to unlimited. However, I do recommend limiting your FPS. That'll just save your that'll just save the utilization on your video card, just give you better performance. So normally I run VSync on. I set mine to 360, DirectX 12. In the latest versions of Fortnite, they removed the old DirectX 11. Performance mode, can't stand it. I do boost my brightness up quite a bit. I do run colorblind mode. Triton 7. This is just personal preference, but this helps things stand out more, in my opinion. Okay, so here are my settings. So DLSS, I prefer quality. You can, of course, lower that to balanced or performance to get more FPS. So if you don't have a crazy video card like I have, and you want, higher FPS, un momento, por favor, okay. So if you want the ultimate, you can set your settings to balance their performance. It does affect the visual quality though. So because I like to have better graphics than just pure frame rate, I like to run it on quality. And as you can see, you can get over 300 no problem. Well, depending on your video card, of course. Okay. So let's keep going through here. Okay, so Nanite you totally want off. Nanite will cut your frames in 1/3. Absolutely horrendous. I run global illumination reflections off. I think it actually looks better and clear without that lighting. Funny enough, and you know, Fortnite always has bugs, and there's some weird issues running those higher levels of lighting and reflections. However, for shadows, I like to run shadows on. For me, it just creates more of a contrast where I can see enemies better, and it just makes it look better. Fortnite's really designed to have shadows on. If you have it off and you go in certain buildings, it just looks weird. I don't know. So you can see there's a little bit of shimmering here. If I was to put shadows up to ultra, that would go away. So the higher the shadows, the more detailed they are at a closer range or farther range. So yeah, I like to have visual clarity. I need aliasing or anti-aliasing. It's just helps me see enemies better, help fight enemies better. And again, if you can still get this frame rate, then why not, right? All right, so let's keep going through here. So shadows. So the reason why you don't see any grass is because even though I'm in DirectX 12 mode, if you set your view distance to near and you turn your effects and post-processing off, then you won't get any grass. So that's nice. I don't really care about seeing loot far away, honestly. If you have an AR, you can zoom in and get a little farther. I don't know. It's just I would rather have no grass than seeing loot far away or buildings. Not a big deal. And then the last thing is textures. Textures really doesn't affect your performance or FPS whatsoever, so there's no reason not to run those at super high or ultra. So yeah. So I have to say I am running a 5090, which, you know, I'm lucky enough to have one of those. But you know, if you only have a 160 hertz monitor, all you really need is 160 hertz. Going above that doesn't really give you any input latency advantage, in my opinion. Probably could get some help, huh? So yeah, those are my recommended video settings. Just because somebody asked for them, and figured I'd play a little bit, and then just yeah. So you can see, you know, it's not like if you have Nanite. Obviously, if you want the best, or if you want like the PlayStation 5 look, obviously you'd want Nanite on with Lumen, but that'll go. So right now I'm at what, 340. That'll take me to like 140. Like it'll literally knock 200 FPS off. Totally, it's nice, but if you play competitively like whatsoever, or I mean not like competition, but just like want to win, if you're playing with other people and you want to do well, this I think is the best balance of anti-aliasing with DLSS, and uh, you know, good enough visuals above the horrendous performance mode with no anti-aliasing. Some people will just turn off they'll run DirectX 12. They'll run DirectX 12 and turn anti-aliasing off. That looks horrible too. Like, it really doesn't give you that much of an FPS advantage. DLS will make things look better, and give you FPS advantage. So, like, why not? Yeah, it'll be a little bit softer, but honestly, I think this is sharp enough. And you can even go in and adjust your DLSS sharpening through other methods. But okay, so just to recap, you want to do DLSS swapper to get the latest DLSS. That doesn't break easy anti-cheat in Fortnite, so I've done it and it's working fine right now. You want to go into your NVIDIA control panel and you want to override the DLSS preset to K. Again, I don't recommend LRM. I've tried it a lot. It just looks terrible. K, for Fortnite at least, just looks so much better. And then you can change your digital vibrance if you want. And then you want, personally, I like to run G-Sync plus V-Sync plus reflex on boost, and that gives me the least amount of tearing. I've gone back and forth, using RTSS to cap frames, capping frames 4 FPS below your monitors, try and get the most stable frame times. I don't think that's as much of an issue these days. But yeah, hopefully, if you want it to look like this and have that clarity, if you're old like me and you need to be able to see clear farther away without all the jagged lines, but you still want good frame rates, like I'm getting 350. Of course, I have a 5090, but anyway, those are my settings.